would include the Carousel, Shopback, SGAG, MGAG, Balkan Post, 99.co, and so on. In the second one, which are rolling out now, we want to support these companies further and support larger companies. So we generally want to go in with a check size of about 1 mil US. So if you are receiving 1 mil US or maybe a bit more as a collective, maybe Jonathan also come to the round and so on, if you are receiving that amount, then generally you are giving out about 20% of the company to 33%, thereabouts, 1/5 to about 1/3 of the company. If you are, so based on that calculation, your company is worth about what, 3 to 5 mil or thereabouts, or maybe even up to 10 mil if you are an experienced founder, like maybe for example DRX. What are the revenues that you have that drives it? What is the team that you put together that can drive that kind of valuation? How convinced or convicted you are in driving it forward? Do you when we start to ask you a bit more questions about, hey, how's the management brand strength when it comes to a CFO or see something O? So I cannot say that it points out to just one magical ingredient that we look for, but if you force me to do it, I'll say don't give up. If anybody who can ask you, even the Facebook Accelerator interview process, I was on the selection, I guess, panel, I think, to this afternoon. Someone has really put in place measures to support with co-matching and so on. So we stand ready to fund any companies that come at Series B stage and welcome you to Singapore. And as Jonathan rightly pointed out, it really doesn't matter where the money is coming from. From an entrepreneur perspective, I'll tell you, the minute you receive that Series A check, if you're raising Series A, and your competitor in the same space receive also a Series A check, you will say that there's too much money in the ecosystem. Because your competitors are getting money also. So the money is there. Just be ready to get out of the comfort zone from KL, from wherever you are, go to Thailand, go to Singapore, and raise money. If the numbers work out, the money will come to you.
Yeah, so great stuff. So the liquidity is there. It's just whether you're willing to step out of Malaysia to find the money. So, so in the last section, we briefly heard about what the Facebook Accelerator program is about from Jason's presentation. Now, we would like to hear from the rest of the panelists about your thoughts on the Malaysia startup ecosystem and how the program can help. So maybe we start from Yuan.
Okay, so I have been in the ecosystem for a lot of years. I used to work for Jonathan in 2012 for Cradle. And then I left for Singapore, worked in Singapore for 3 years, and I came back to start my business. So I've been around for, 2012 till now. As an employee, as somebody who served in the space, right? I think that Malaysia is heaven for business. People can say like, this government, I'm a super beneficiary, I'm a CIP 500 beneficiary, I'm an MSc newly paid tax. I'm a beneficiary of my government. I'm very, very happy to be here. I attended the Magic Accelerator. I went to E at Stanford program, So just hang in there for Malaysia. Don't give up on us. I get very emotional because sometimes when I talk to VCs, they're like, would you be interested to move to Singapore? Because at the end of the day, this is the headquarters. Then there was one VC I really had to turn down because the requirement was to move to Singapore, and I teared up. It's like, I can't do this. Don't make me do this. Not my country. No. So that's one thing. I think we should look at long term. Look at long term as in what is the reason to do this stuff? What is your reason, right? Because first 2 years is like, happening, fun, everything. I mean, when I started Magic Accelerator, the global program, I was called to, I don't know how many survive. I really don't know how many survive, right? So I think not many of us do, right? And not many of us tend to endure the whole journey. And there is going to be downside. In the 4th year, the downs are worse than the 2nd year. And at one point, I really just throw the paper, like, I can't do this anymore. So have the right reason for starting the business and have the right attitude and have thick skin, super thick skin. Just ask questions, just jump at every opportunity and then stop people. I have to teach my salespeople this, like, hey, when you go for event, right, make sure you stand next to the speaker there, and then when they come down, you straight away go there. Like, have to teach them all these things because they all don't know how to. But have to have thick skin. I think that is my biggest advice. Cannot be like, oh, ego problem. Cannot. Just go and ask. Have the humility to ask. Have the right attitude, and think long term.
Yeah, thank you for the passionate.
But I'll say as an entrepreneur, you have to hustle. So if you have to go to Singapore, go to Singapore. If you have to go to US, go to US. Go to wherever your market is. To be honest, actually, not go to where the funding is. Go to wherever your market is. That's more important. Because if your market is not in Malaysia, there's no point being in Malaysia. But remember, you are originally from Malaysia, so that is something that. So the thing as an entrepreneur, I think a lot of the newer batch of entrepreneurs, we have this like 22,000 over entrepreneur Facebook group, and one of the complaints that our government is not doing this, but actually no, there's a lot of initiative, but they might